Baxter County Roundtable. I believe it's episode 32. It's darn cold out in Baxter County. I don't know what it's doing by you, but pretty slippery too, so be careful. My name is Joe Bryant. I guess I'm the official host. I don't need a title, but Russ is the co-host apparently, or we're both co-hosts. And we also have Stetson Painter as our guest this evening. He is the state rep for District 3, and we'll get more into what he's up to and who he is exactly. Meantime, Russ, if you got a few things to say before we really get the ball rolling, advertisers and such.
Yeah, sure. I remind everyone that the Baxter County Roundtable is sponsored by Mountain Home Heating and Air Conditioning. Voted best in the Twin Lakes area for 2 years in a row, 2024 and 2025. The largest Goodman dealer in the Twin Lakes area. Mountain Home Heat and Air together with two names trust. Goodman systems are made in America, by Americans, for America. They also specialize in bulk and mini-split systems. From installations, duct cleaning, and everything in between, Mountain Home Heating and Air are the people you need to call for your HVAC. They offer high-quality systems, affordable prices. Financing is available. So give Kurt Lawrence and the folks out at Mountain Home Heat and Air a call at 870-425-AAC. That's 870-425-4822.
All right. Well, it's good to have an advertiser, and I understand there's more coming. But and Goodman is made in America. That's kind of gets me going. I don't know if anybody else is making them in the U.S. So I officially like Goodman.
Same here.
So Stetson Painter, State Rep, District 3, welcome back again. It's always a pleasure to have you. You are running for your third term.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to tell us about your run for your third term?
Yes. So first of all, it's good to be with you guys again. It's always fun to be on the podcast. Rather be in person. It's always nice. But when it's 2 degrees outside and slicker roads than anything, it's nice to do this online. I also want to say thank you to all our linemen, from Energy to North Arkansas Electric to our firefighters, volunteer firefighters, our police, sheriff's department, all our first responders that have been out there working these last few days, our road crews that have really done an outstanding job for the situation that we've had. Really, really proud, and so appreciate them. And we don't always think about them until our roads get slick or when we have an issue. So appreciate that very well. Yeah, you're right, Joe. I'm finishing up my second term, running for re-election for my third term. I appreciate my fellow Republicans not giving me a primary this season, so it's nice. But I do have a general election, and so waiting to get through the primary season, and then we'll hit the campaign trail pretty hard. But the campaign trail is going to be no different than what we normally do now. We go to events, we visit with constituents, we continue daily operations. It's no different. So again, it's an honor and a blessing to represent, I think, the best looking part of the state in our state capital, and it's just an honor to fight for my hometown and our folks here in Mountain Home and Fulton County and surrounding area.
Yeah, it's tough to beat the Ozarks.
100%.
And just for FYI for everybody, this is I believe our first remote broadcast due to weather. So bear with us if we have any difficulties here. We're doing the best we can. This is I think this is a learning experience, but we hopefully have it dialed in. Did a couple practice runs. So anyway, Got a lot of snow. Not a lot, not what they said we were going to get, but more ice. Just more cold than anything. Um, I don't know if what's going on in Little Rock relative to that. I think
They got more ice down in that area, freezing rain than we did. I've had talked with some colleagues down there. They've friend of mine, actually, one of my colleagues, he has had some barns that have caved in. I know in south western Arkansas, they've had some chicken houses and some poultry barns that have fallen in due to the ice and snow. So I think for us, I was not necessarily concerned about with the snow that we were going to get. I was more concerned about just the pure cold temperatures that we have. Matter of fact,
well, we got that.
We did. And matter of fact, I've got a newborn calf in my house right now that was born in this cold weather, had ice all over her. Now she's in my house right now, kind of warming up and getting some milk. So that just tells you that's what we were afraid of. But all over.
Welcome to the Ozarks.
Exactly. But no, I think down south got a little bit worse than we did as far as the freezing rain and the ice. It's sleeted at my house the other night it felt like for several hours.
Yeah,
it was coming down pretty hard.
Yeah,
it did in my house too, but it was pretty fine, sweet.
Did I hear that Sarah made an emergency declaration for this weather
She
event?
did. The governor made an emergency declaration, also activated at least 170 National Guard across the state. And appreciate those men and women out there. I know they helped on some wrecks, also pulling some cars out of ditches and doing some other things as well. State offices were closed today. State offices will be closed tomorrow due to the weather.
So what's the process with this emergency declaration? When Sarah says, "Hey, this is an emergency," what happens?
What happens is the state will declare an emergency, and we'll send that up to the feds. Which I understand President Trump has already accepted our declaration, and so now is documentation time. And so we document things. I think the governor already pulled some money out of reserves just for an emergency to help, round the clock state help. And so we will send that to the feds with county and city documentation and possibly could get a reimbursement from the feds since this was become a disaster. No different than a tornado or flooding. We submit that to the feds. We have to hit a certain threshold and work with our partners in the feds to get that paid for, reimbursement.
All right, then. Well, what's other than that? Is there anything going on in Little Rock? I mean, you guys are mostly home campaigning, is that right?
It's primary season, so I think in the primary and the general season, we have a total of at least in the House of Representatives, a total of 54 elections that will be across the state, 54 House seats that are either in the primary or in the general election. But right now, we are back home, but we do have ALC, which is the Arkansas Legislative Council, and audit and other committee hearings that meet in the off time to either look at bills that we pass, to help write rules with agencies, or temporary appropriations, or we have bills that didn't pass but maybe need to be brought up and put to interim study to see how those would, if they were enacted, what they would do. So we may not be in session, but it is kind of a busy time. I'm usually down in Little Rock about 2 weeks every month out of session. I sit on ALC, I sit on audit, and then sometimes we have education is meeting right now in the off season to get ready for budget for the fiscal session in April. And so it's just still a busy time going on in the Capitol.
Okay, well, I heard you mention the word audit.
Yes, sir.
That seems to be a pretty front page term lately. Not necessarily in Arkansas, but what do you do on the audit
So on the audit committee, our job is to work with our state auditors, not the auditor of state. That's completely different, but with our auditors in the legislative side to make sure that the folks that are receiving state funds, whether it's a city, county, an agency, educational, I sit on the education subcommittee of audit, and making sure that they're spending taxpayer dollars the way it's supposed to be. They report any fraud. For example, we've had some fraud on the educational side of things, as far as maybe a student was applying and then didn't, whatever for reason, under fraud conditions, and took their financial aid they got from the state and left. That we find those things out. They get reported to us. If a city is misappropriating state funds, like you're spending your street aid money for water project, well, that's a no-no. You can't do that. You can't mix those funds. Or if somebody just walks away with state money and never comes back, those issues really happen.
Is this a place where, for instance, if there were child care centers with no children?
Yes. So, if you're having issues that are go out of spillet, if you're having issues like they're going on in Minnesota, then we would come by leg audit, and we would find that out and make recommendations on how we would claw that money back. And so that's what the leg audit does, is to look over folks that are getting state aid money, institutions and so forth, looking at that and make sure they're spending it the way it's supposed to. And if not, then we find avenues to claw that money, or hold maybe a turnback money, maybe county road, maybe road money. Different options are on the table.
Does that apply to any federal money that may come?
Yeah, if we have federal money that turns over to the state, and the state is the ones issuing out, you betcha we are looking at that as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to hear a lot. Yeah, go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, is there any type of any talk about maybe having a Doge type review at the state level down in Littlerock?
There has been some conversations about that. I don't know what the executive branch thoughts are on that, but there has been a few legislators that have thought about doing, creating a bill to create that agency. But I will tell you, audit is yeah, and I'll tell you though, I have to give credit to the audit team with the audit committee. They are pit bulls. Every contract, every dime gets told to us and where it went, and they audit that stuff, and then they send us a report what has been turned over to the Attorney General's office, what's been turned over to the prosecuting attorney's office, and it's the way it is. But unfortunately, we have a lot of stuff that gets turned over to the prosecuting attorney's office, the AG's office, just because of malfeasance and misappropriations of stuff, and they're very good about what they do.
I suspect everybody's on high alert these days.
Yes, and when you have a lot more eyeballs looking at certain things, a lot of certain things don't fall through the cracks anymore.
Well, that's good actually, but okay.
Well, that's just good. As long as somebody's keeping an eye on people, they tend to keep it between the ditches, so to speak, and do things correctly.
Let me tell you, there's several eyes in that legislature, both on the Senate and the House side, that have a fine-tooth comb in going through all this stuff.
Good deal.
I suspect there are probably citizens out there too that are more than happy to find.
Oh yes,
like Democrats, not like Republicans, and vice versa.
I'll tell you too, there's been some things that have popped up because the constituents have called a legislator or two, and we referred it to the audit to take a look at it, and we found findings that stuff was going on. And so you don't have to be a legislator to either help write a law or to help with the audit process.
Well, in since you mentioned it that way, Can you tell us a little bit about how legislation is created?
Yes, and I'll also say too is, I hear people all the time like, man, there were 700 and something bills passed, and that sounds a lot. I will tell you this: about 85 to 90% of those laws are not new laws. They're amendments to an old law, changing this word to that word, or striking this out because when that first bill was written, and let's just in 1930. We don't use that anymore. So we got to write a new law to amend it to strike that out. That's what really happens a lot. There's still new bills written, and there's quite a few. But
who looks at those? And I mean, it's not like Stetson Painter writes 73 bills that year. I mean,
right.
Is it?
So I'll give you a prime example. So I ran a bill for the Secretary of State's office to take the word floppy disk out. Okay. It was in code and in law that we used it back in the day. Now that we don't use that stuff anymore, you can't just delete it off. You have to write a bill to amend that, and that takes it off. And so that was a few of them. A few were new, like my higher education bill that I wrote to prevent higher ed dollars going to Chinese entities and foreign entities that hate America. No more state grants. No more of that stuff. I wrote my idea out, and then we have what we call a Bureau of Legislative Research.
Okay, now we're getting where
a team of non-partisan folks that take my idea and put it and say, all right, your idea, this is what it's going to look like in code. Okay. Do you like it? Is this where you want to get your point? When I say yes, then I file my bill, and then I'm the one that files it and argues it in the committee and then on the floor. But you folks can call me, email me, or text me any ideas. A lot of laws that are in the books have been citizen driven. Folks can say, hey, I'm thinking about this. And what happens normally, or what I would do, is say, okay, let me take that idea and let me visit with the Bureau of Legislative Research and see if I can get that into code and into law and see what that looks like. And I'll send it back to you, and let's visit on that. And then after that, I'll go work with other lawmakers to get them on board and hopefully passed.
So I think you were.
I got one for you.
Go ahead.
Okay. I talk with Lindsay Roberts, our election coordinator, pretty frequently. One thing is, a person died. Where are the death certificates filed? They do not automatically go to the county clerk's office. Why? If they were required to file in addition and add county clerk to it, then the dead people can automatically be removed from the voting roll.
I agree with you, and I don't know why, but that's something that we could work on in the 27 session. And be able to clear that up. I think that's a no-brainer. I did not know that until when my mom passed just this past October, that it didn't get filed where she lived at. I had to do that personally. So I make sure, so that's something like that right there is simple things like that is we could work on that and get that into law. I don't think any Republican would be against that, I hope.
Well, nobody with any common sense should be against that, and we do have an election season. We're starting now. Is it?
Well, you have two special elections going on right. Well, one now, a runoff going in a Senate district for the late Gary Stubblefield. He passed away. There's a runoff election going on right now. Actually, starts tomorrow. Till February 2nd, and then February 3rd is election day to fill that seat.
Well, and primaries are coming up, and my
primary starts February, is it 16th or 17th? Early voting starts till March 3rd.
Yeah, but the problem is, the question that comes to my mind is, we really should. Is there a way to correct the thing that Russ brought up about the the voter rolls.
We would probably would have to write a law for that. Now we could propose that in the fiscal session, but in the fiscal session, any non-appropriation bills have to have three-fourths vote to be heard.
So are we going into the fiscal session?
Yeah. So in our state's constitution, Arkansas, it states that every even year we are into a fiscal session, which lasts about 30 days, can only be amended once up to 15 additional days. And then every odd year is a legislative session that lasts up to 90 days and can be amended, I think, a couple of times for an additional 15 days each time.
So it's pretty unlikely to get
it's very hard to get non-appropriation language passed in a fiscal. It's not unheard of.
Pretty high bar,
but it's a high bar, and the founding fathers of our state made that for a reason, I believe.
Yeah, boy, that really needs to get straightened out quick.
But Russ, I'll be glad to visit with some folks down there when I go back next week and see if that's something that entertainment would be down there for putting that on, maybe in the fiscal. If not, we can definitely have it taken care of in the 27 session.
Now, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll let you tell us. Do we have voter ID laws here in Arkansas?
Yes, we do. We're actually in the top in the country for that, and very proud of that. Can we always do better? You bet. Just like, Russ brought that prime example of what we can do that. And that one little thing can even make us better.
I think that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
What Russ does.
But no, we're great into that. We're also, we're the most pro-life state in the United States. And we're also, in the top for education freedom. And so Arkansas is in the top in a lot. Is there areas that we're in the bottom that we need to bring up? You betcha. But you know what? You can say that about Texas. There's things that they lag that they can work on better. No different than us. And so I think we've got a good time to do that in fiscal as far as appropriating some stuff.
Well, me being the person that I am, I'm going to go ahead and blame a lot of these problems on the many, many years of Democrat rule in this state. Especially fiscal and just all across the board. Democrats are pretty special.
I'll tell you, it's Arkansas has, we changed the direction of our state back in 2011 when we took over, and really done it in 2014 and in every election since then. But we also, since we're the ones governing and in power, we cannot act like or run government like the Democrats did at the height of their power. And I think some days we do that.
I think a lot of those days.
And so
Yes.
if, what great way is to learn the lessons from the other side of the aisle and not do that. And I think that's been some of my frustrations down there in Littlerock, is sometimes that big engine wants to keep doing like it's always been doing. And
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. That's how we've always done it.
And I pound my head. I sit on a ALC subcommittee. I'm actually the vice chair of review. So we review all state contracts. You want to talk about a committee that just, if you're a conservative, if for less government spending will make your blood boil, get on that committee. There is so much random stuff that we spend money. We hire consultants to tell our consultants to tell these consultants to tell our other consultants how to do that for $15 million. And to hear some agencies say, well, we need this, or to read a contract that says, hey, we are hiring these people just to tell us how to make our room a better use of it, make it better use. It's like, are you kidding me? I'm a hillbilly from Mountain Home. You could pay me a lot less, and I could tell you how to use that room better. We don't need to hire 4 consultants at $10 million.
You can ask regular citizens.
Yeah, and it's just
good old
that way, or we hire firms from out in California and out of state, and I get it. Certain things, Arkansas, we don't have people for, and I get that. That's just the way it is. But we don't do any background check on some of these firms that agencies hire, and they're out here promoting all kinds of woke liberal agendas that is not Arkansas. And it's like you want to scratch your head and say, what in the world are you doing?
Well, and conservatism is very easy to understand. Now, what's not easy to understand is, most of the executive offices, most of the big political offices are held by Republicans. Why can't we get a whole bunch of conservative stuff through?
I think, as far as, and I think we've done, I think at national level, I think a whole lot different. On the state level, I think we've got some pretty good conservative things done. Do we still have a work to go? You betcha. But the bureaucracy is what drives you nuts. There is still a lot of, liberals and wokeness and still in government, that down in the trenches, maybe not at the top, but down in the trenches, that will do everything they can to slow down policy. I mean, we've caught some of them slowing rules from 2 sessions ago that haven't even wrote rules for legislation that is good legislation, and they have to come to the rules committee and tell us why. And it's just, you just want to beat your head on the desk because of the answers that they give you. And it's just like, look, I get it that you don't agree with it, but you still have to carry it out because it's the law of the state.
I totally agree that there's a lot of that going on, but there's also some cases where the Republicans aren't really, it's like they're afraid for some reason to pass certain laws. And
I get you. And here's the thing. It's funny. It's, I told a friend of mine, it's not Democrats we fight with. It's really not. No offense to the Democrats, but they know that they don't have a fight because there's so fewer of them. But what we fight amongst ourselves is as Republicans.
Yeah, that's right.
And so each group has their own. I mean, we've got some centrist, middle of the road Republicans, but that's because they represent a blue district down in Deshay County and so forth, for example. That's represented by Mark McElroy. He has to be, he's a Republican and he's a good guy, but he has to be a little bit different than I can be representing a very conservative district.
Yeah.
And so trying to navigate that, especially being in leadership and you're working with different factions within the Republicans and different things, that's the governing part that sometimes gets hard.
And that's when your phone starts ringing.
That's when your phone rings. That's when you're, I'm in the speaker's office or meeting with the majority leader at, 10 o'clock at night, talking about, how other members, how we can, what can we do to get these members for this vote or kill this bill or whatever. I enjoy it. I love being the whip. I'm actually running for re-election as whip for another term. But it's great because you get to eventually see the fruits of your labor of where we're like, we're down 20 votes and we got, a few hours before we vote to whereas, man, now we're plus 10 and we're going to, we'll get this thing it's signed into law. Those are some good days, but it's stressful at times.
Yeah. What else you got, Russ?
Have y'all considered putting sunset dates or mandatory review dates on your bills?
I'm sorry, Russ, you broke up.
Have you considered putting sunset dates or mandatory review dates for all of your new bills?
Yeah, well, we actually in the law have dates in there where rules have to be codified, have to be so forth like that. Now some have stricter than others, but the rules committee meets once a month, so we're reviewing all the outstanding rules that haven't been made for each new bill that was passed.
So I'm having a lot of trouble with feedback and delay.
we
So
have
I'm gonna let you
technical difficulties here. I'll just take this time. Let me take a little time here to mention home heat and air again. 870-425 HVAC, and we really appreciate them stepping up and supporting us. What else you want to talk about, Stetson? Anything upcoming stuff?
Yeah, so again, fiscal session starts April 8th at noon, and probably will go to about May 7th or 8th at noon. We're going to have a lot of things that are going to come through fiscal. There's an issue I'm sure a lot of folks have been hearing about, the prison issue going on in Franklin County. I'm sure that will be brought up. Also, too, as we're looking at income tax possibly. I'm hoping that we look at the overall budget and kind of shrink a little bit more than we did last time. I've been a little bit frustrated on the amount of spending we have done outside of that, with agencies coming and asking for new appropriations. I get it, things happen, but it's frustrating. So it may not be uncommon to see my name a little bit more red than normal when it comes to maybe appropriation bills. But we're going to also be funding educations again. That's going to be another big, huge ticket item, is the education freedom accounts. Looking at another $122 million increase in that. And so there's just going to be a lot of items going to come across in fiscal. And I encourage everybody. Arkansas government is transparent. You can read every bill. You can see everything that gets filed. You can watch every committee hearing. You can watch the floor live, or you can watch it the next day. Go ahead.
Can you tell us how we can watch that live?
Yes. So you can go to the Arkansas. You can just go to Google and type in Arkansas House of Representatives. And once you get that, you can click on their website, and then there's an icon that says Watch Live. And you can click on that, and it'll bring up a little calendar, and it will have the videos of those days. You can go back years ago. I've played with it. I've watched committee hearings 10 years ago because unfortunately, we're still fighting about certain issues even now that were fought against 10 years ago. But you can watch it live. And if you can't watch it live, you can watch it the next day, hours after, whatever. You can watch it anytime, anywhere. And I would strongly encourage people to do that. And then also reach out to me via email or give me a call at 501-733-3203. It's always appreciative and refreshing to hear from constituents. Even if we don't agree on an issue, it's still nice in our constitutional republic that we can have a nice civil debate with our elected leaders and our constituents.
Yeah, and I believe in many cases you can actually go there in person and watch it.
You can go there in person. You can sit in the.
Are there situations where you can't go?
No. So you can go there in the house. You can sit up in the gallery. You don't need a ticket. You don't need anything. You just show up and can go there. I would recommend at least looking at the schedule. That make sure you go there when we're there. But also too, in the committee hearings rooms, there's the whole open seat area is for the general public to come and hear and listen and see your government at work. And I still think that's probably.
So you could go to the Arkansas House of Representatives on Google and find the schedule.
Yes, you can click on the where it says Watch Live, and you can find that. But I think
you can find a calendar.
Yes, and I just want to remind folks that appreciate that and take advantage of that, because we are one of very few countries that you can still go see live in person what your government does, and you can also have a conversation with your elected leaders as well.
Yeah, I have done that, and I've been down I think it was a House education hearing, and it was pretty cool. It was a very controversial subject at the time, but and the place was packed, and it was kind of fun.
And I tell people
how your government works.
Oh yeah, and we have a lot of, and luckily we have the Chamber of Commerce sends their leadership group down there, and I try to get with them and kind of meet with them in a committee room and show them how that kind of process done. Then I take them on the floor and kind of show them that kind of the process. And I think, to me, that's probably one of the favorite parts of the job, is to teach folks what goes on and encourage them to be interactive, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. It's your government. You have the right and the duty, I think, more than anything, is to be involved.
Yeah. Even I was in Boise, Idaho one year, and I walked right into their Capitol. Just started wandering around. I could walk into any office and start talking to people. I don't know if you can do that anymore.
I've been to several state capitals, and a lot of them are still walking in. Of course, you got to go through security, but it's just, our capital, you can go through security, and then you can walk around. When I'm down there, there is tourists there every day, taking pictures, looking around, and so forth. So I just encourage people. I get it. It's 3 hours there and 3 hours back, but it's your government.
Yeah. There's no place like being there and seeing it firsthand. There's nothing.
Yeah. And I think when I fell in love with government was,
well, I never said those words.
Well, in the process, I guess, is I went to a live hearing and meeting when I was a young kid, and I just fell in love with that. And was just hooked ever since, about wanting to one day represent my fellow man and woman in government, to try to make our place a little bit better than it was yesterday.
Yeah, and I try to tell people all the time, you have to participate in some form or fashion. You don't have to go to Littlerock, but it's your obligation to participate.
Well, I'll tell you this, I've told
civic duty.
I try to tell everybody this. Yes, it's your civic duty. And also, I've been in the military for 20 years. I just celebrated 20 years 13 days ago. And so I've got friends that have served that helped you enshrine that right to vote. So make sure you carry that out. But also, too, is it's your government. Be involved. And if you email me, call me, it's me calling you back. It's me emailing you. I don't have a staff like my counterparts in different states that have a 4 or 5 person staff. In Arkansas, it's uno. It's me as my own staff. And so the email that you get back is from me. The call or the text that you get back is from me.
Well, and in the end, too, I just think that it's, the citizens have to keep you guys on your toes, too. Otherwise, how do you know what we want?
It is, you talk about being humble and refreshing. It's nice to, I'm a football official, so I believe, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and calling it like, calling a good game. I believe that's what the taxpayers should do to the legislatures, is make sure we're doing the right thing. And if we're not, hey, Stetson, I've gotten a few phone calls. Hey, Stetson, what's going on down there? Or why did you vote for this? I love when people do that, because they may not know all the things that happened to why I voted yes or why I voted no, and trying to explain that, or just say, hey, look, I was going to vote yes on this, but you know what? The bill sponsor changed a couple of things, and that was going to really hurt District 3. I just couldn't vote for it, or vice versa. But it's just nice to have that interaction.
Well, what's your thought process when, these days legislation comes with too much junk in them, really, they're not single issue legislation. So if you have a bill that comes up that's, there's something in there you really can't accept, but then there's something else you can't turn down. How do you reconcile that?
So in Arkansas, we're very lucky. We can only do what's on the bill for teachers is what's going to be in the bill. It can't be teachers and military or teachers and this. It has to be specific. And so we're very fortunate in that, not like the federal government where I can cram a bunch of stuff under the title, I support troops. I can cram anything I want under that. On the federal side, on Arkansas side, you can't do that. And so me, I watch committee hearings, I read bills, I go and visit with the bill sponsor, or I've got a very close circle of trust of other legislators that I believe are good people, and what they say is carries weight with me. So I pick their brain. I can't sit on every committee down there. So I've tried to build relationships with several members that sit on different committees than I, and they do the same thing. And we meet nightly and say, okay, what did you think of these bills or whatever? And constituents, if they call me and they read and say, hey, this is a horrible bill, I carry a little black book, and it's got the bills on for that day and how I'm going to vote. And also it's got a tally mark on the side of bills for constituents that call that say, hey, I want you to vote for this bill, or hey, I want you to vote against it for that bill. And so I take that in consideration too as well. And so my routine is I usually don't go to bed till about 1 or 2 o'clock at night, because I'm trying to stay up and read and watch as much as I can to make sure I'm fully prepared. Because when I press that yes, no, or present, which I don't believe doing that, but yes or no that's what I'm going for, and I can't change that.
Right. Well, my question was was more about fiscal stuff. Fiscal. I think that's where a lot of the
Same thing. You get the agency, their budget and all their items down there, and it's hard because I may like the overall what they may move some money, or I may like hey, they decreased it by 3%, but they are spending it over here, and it's very hard. So that's when you got to think, I do some checking to see if it's already got enough votes to pass, then me voting no is not going to hurt it, or or I can vote yes. Those are tricky, but luckily I try to get those worked out before I do that. I will go straight to the agency and ask questions. I'm not afraid to do that.
Okay, well that sounds good. I think you got anything else you want to add, Russ, or try to add?
I will say this. I know that Stetson has always returned my phone calls anytime I've called him. May not be able to get to me right then, but he'll call me back within 24 hours. And he's always listening to whatever complaint or recommendations that I've had. So Stetson, I just want to say I appreciate that, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that, Russ. And I try to do that with everybody, even folks on the other side of the aisle. I'm not bashful. I will take your call. I will listen. May not agree with you.
Well, you represent them as well.
Right. And that's the great thing is I've had independents, Republicans, Democrats reach out to me about all kinds of variety of issues. And we've had good civil debates, and that makes me happy, because I have always said that the day that the phone is silent and the email stops clinging, that's a day that I think as an elected official, we all should be concerned about, because I think that's the day that the people no longer have faith in their elected leaders and their government.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, all right. I don't have much more for this session. Is there anything else you want to add, Stetson?
Everybody just stay safe and warm. Congratulations to most of the kids that don't have school tomorrow again.
Yeah.
One of mine's excited and happy. She doesn't have to go to school, so I guess we're going sledding again. But no, it's just, again, I can't state this enough. It truly is a privilege and an honor from the bottom of my heart to represent this great part of the state. It is God's country. It is the best looking part of the state with some of the best people here. And to go down there and represent these fine folks is great. I wish everybody be warm. And if you need anything at all, my phone number is 501-733-3203. Shoot me a text, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'll be glad to help you. We've helped many constituents over the last few years, whether it's VA to DMV issues. I think last year, at the end of last year, I helped over 165 constituents in this district alone of just a variety of different issues. So that's the part I think people forget, is that if you have an issue with the state government, that's what your representatives and senators can help you with, is that sometimes the state gets in our way, and we as in our office can cut some of that down and try to help you.
And I suspect that doing the Arkansas House of Reps Google search, they can get to that page, will have your contact info as well.
So yeah, so what's the privilege of being an elected official is you could just type in my name and it could bring up my information as well on Google. But no, if you go to that website, the Arkansas House of Representatives, you'll have another icon where it says members. Click on that. It will give you every single, their picture too as well, of every single member. You can click on mine. That will give you my name, my number, what committees I sit on, all kinds of different stuff.
Awesome. Okay, well, I don't have much more, so I'll just say thank you for coming. It's always a good conversation. Hope you'll come back. I'm sure you will.
Yes.
Now, one other thing. Do you have an opponent?
I do. I have a general election. I have a Democrat, and so we will be gearing up the campaign up again right after the primary season's over.
Okay, so we may see you again. Okay, well, anyway, thanks again. And I want to say thank you to Mountain Home Heat and Air once again. 870-425-HVAC. Give them a call and get some of those made in the USA units. Couple quick announcements. Tomorrow is Baxter County Republican Committee meeting at the VFW in Mountain Home. That's at 6 o'clock. You might be able to get a burger there. I'm not sure if they're going to be fully staffed tomorrow. Quorum Court will meet first Tuesday each month, 5:30 at the courthouse. City Council will meet first and third Thursday. I'm not sure where that is exactly, where those meetings are, but they're in downtown or Mountain Home. School Board, third Thursday, 6 p.m., Rodeo Drive, the administration building. And that's all I've got. How about you, Russ? You want to add anything?
Yeah, Joe, thank you. I'm working with Supreme Court Justice Nick Bronny to either have him up here so that he can convey his platform, his election. And I'm working with him. I was in touch with him this afternoon, trying to work out a date either next Monday the 9th or 16th of February to have him on either in the studio. So we're working. Also tomorrow, just prior to the Republican committee meeting at 6. At 5:30, I'll be going over with anyone that from ages of 18 to 40 and becoming a member of the Young Republicans of Baxter County. We are resurrecting that charter. So that is taking place here in the very near future. I'll be giving out all the information tomorrow afternoon around 5:30. So anyone interested in joining the Baxter County Young Republicans, be there tomorrow afternoon, 5:30 at the VFW, and I'll give you all the information.
The meeting got canceled tomorrow night. Just got posted on Telegraph.
I am told that the Baxter County Republican Committee meeting has been postponed tomorrow. Is that correct, Jay?
Yes, VFW will be closed.
Okay, VFW will be closed. No meeting tomorrow for Baxter County Republican Committee. Keep checking your email for updates.
And check the Facebook page. We will have it on Facebook as soon as we can set up another date.
Okay, well, thanks everybody, and Baxter County Roundtable number 32 over and out.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you, Stetson.